Hello everyone, welcome to Conversations Ep6 with your host Kurt here. We're going to be talking about annuities today, and more specifically variable annuities and fixed annuities. So it's a very challenging product in the industry, but we're going to be looking at the good and bad sides of that. And then if you want more details on annuities, I suggest you go look at my ebook, which is under the membership page on my website, Silver Eagle Financial. All right, so what is an annuity specifically? So an annuity is a contract between you and an insurance company, and the main objective of this contract is to transfer the risk of you outliving your money onto the insurance company instead of you taking all that risk on yourself. So annuities also contain three main protections. So that's principal protection, lifetime income, and tax deferral. It all comes with a cost though, and those costs keep adding up as you add on benefits called riders. And when we're looking at annuities, they're very expensive products, and that's why they get a very, very bad rap by a lot of people. But there are good uses to annuities as well, and we're going to be looking at those as we go on here. So as I mentioned before, annuities are very complicated products, and with a talented and knowledgeable advisor, they can be pushed on virtually anybody because they can be made to sound like the best product in the world and be made to fit any situation. So when we're looking at annuities, they have between 8 and 10% commission to the advisor, plus if we're looking at a variable annuity, the funds inside those annuities have a 3.75 to 5.75 load on them, which is just like the loaded mutual funds we were talking about in episode 5. All right, so besides the annuity guarantees, there are also riders that are attached to these annuities, which add more guarantees to the product, and they can range from a bunch of different things, but I want to dial in that there are costs to these riders, and the advisor likely won't talk very much about them because it'll be more about the benefits instead of the cost. So I just want you guys to be aware of what riders are being attached to the annuity and the annuity cost in itself, because there's a lot that won't show up on the annuity statements when you get those, but there are a lot of costs built into them. So be paying attention to that, and your cost can easily get into the high 2 to 3, maybe even 4% range, just because of the annuity chassis itself, which costs a lot, and then the riders that are being added to that along the way. So how do you know if you actually need an annuity? We know there's a lot of expenses built into them, but there are reasons for annuities being out there, and they're actually great products in certain situations. So if you are a government worker who has a pension, you likely won't need an annuity because you already have guaranteed income from your pension. So the pension will cover that guaranteed income, and you don't need any more from the private market itself. So you already have some guaranteed income that places along those lines. And then if you are a private sector worker and you don't have a pension, or you're worried about the pension of your company not being there when you retire or the benefits being reduced, then an annuity might make sense because then you have some guaranteed income that can cover your minimum expenses, so you don't have to worry about that. It's kind of like what Social Security does for us. It provides us a baseline of income that can cover our minimum expenses. Another reason you might need an annuity is if you are in a very high tax bracket and you are going above and beyond the limits of the IRA benefits, because there are some income limits on those. And if you need an annuity to provide some coverage for you, you can defer taxes on annuity contributions. So it's another fantastic way to use an annuity, but annuities in general are pushed way too much on too many people, and they don't make sense for a lot of situations. But if you need it for tax deferral or some covering your guaranteed income, they can make sense. If you are someone who needs an annuity, you have three main options. So the options are variable annuities, which we mentioned before. So that means you have mutual funds built inside them, which are typically loaded mutual funds. You have fixed annuities, which provide a fixed interest rate and typically have lower expenses. And then the third option is index annuities. Index annuities are usually capped, so in good markets, you won't be able to gain quite as much as the variable annuities, and they'll be capped on the terms of your upside on those annuities. So we're going to exclude those from our conversation here. And when we look at specifically variable annuities, which are the most common annuities pushed, they have extremely high commissions to the advisors. So advisors will attach a lot of guarantees and riders to push their commission higher. Some of it does make sense for the client, but a lot of times it's just for that commission. So I do push a lot of caution on variable annuities. When we're looking at fixed annuities, they have the lower costs, they have the fixed interest rate, which doesn't provide you with quite as much upside, but you don't have the downside in the markets either. They're an excellent product to have, and they cover those minimum expenses that you're likely going to have if you get a large enough fixed annuity, and or if you get multiple fixed annuities. So variable annuities are excellent products if you trust your advisor and you think that they're giving you a product that doesn't have the expenses that some other variable annuities might have, and they're not pushing multiple riders that are driving your prices up. All right, so before I sign off here, what are your thoughts on annuities, and what is the research that you have done and heard about annuities, and more specifically, the variable, fixed, and indexed? This is Kurt, signing off.